That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 176 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where three and a half friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. I'm not Adam. He's on holiday. But I'm joined today by John.
Hello.
And Brett.
Hello.
It's the elite. It's the elite of Hardest Part of the Ring. None of this Cody Rhodes bullshit.
Oh, Adam would be a Cody Rhodes as well, I reckon.
Oh, he would be. He would go to the mothership in no time at all.
Yeah, he'd join the grapple pod in a second.
In a heartbeat. He's been angling for that move for a long time. But we are keeping it elite today. How are you guys? Did you have a lovely Easter?
Great. I was thinking about this earlier. Easter weekend might be like my favourite weekend in the entire year. Like above Christmas and New Year. I just love Easter weekend.
I'm on board with this. I think it's a bit more low key. I got an Amazon delivery on Easter Sunday.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
Wild, right?
Me too.
That is wild. Some people don't get any breaks.
No,
they don't.
God bless them.
To my benefit, I guess. How was your Easter, Brett?
Well, I'm definitely getting to that age now. I realise where I spent like a big chunk of certainly the Saturday and Sunday in the gardening, trying to catch up from the winter mess. So I'm that person now.
Yeah,
Get in. That sounds amazing. I love a bit of. I was helping my parents out with their garden.
I hate
on
gardening.
Saturday. Oh, I love it. Can I come round your house and do your garden?
Yeah.
In my own, like I get to decorate it and everything the way I want to.
Oh no, maybe not then.
Another time. There'd be tables, ladders, and chairs.
Yeah, I was going to say, give us a sketch on your plans, and then maybe
loser mows a lawn match.
I would love to invite a lot of wrestlers around to do garden work, because I think that would be a lot of fun. Like if you had Mick Foley and Terry Funk doing your garden.
What, just start hitting each other with the spade and the fork.
Yeah, because wasn't it when Terry Funk was in WWE, he was called like Chainsaw Charlie, wasn't he?
He was. He used to, if I remember correctly, I think he used to come to the ring in a crate and chainsaw his way out of it. I might have dreamt that.
Oh, that would be epic.
God
I was going to say
Terry.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake. This is another top 5. He'd be good with the shears.
Oh,
he would be. Do you know what? We're going to have to say, we're going to table this.
We're going to have to put a pin in it.
Top 5 wrestlers to do your garden in your house. Get rid of in your house, in your garden.
I can't see that getting the download numbers.
We've got to wait until another day when Adam's off so we can pull another fast one and get away with silly pods.
Niche.
But as you are well aware, today is another top 5. It's been a hot minute since we've done one. Last top 5 we did was in August.
Wowzers.
Yeah, it's been a little while. We did top 5 finishers. Anyone remember what made up the top 5?
Stunner's got to be in there.
Yeah, it's got to be in there, right?
I think it's Stunner. The only one I remember being in there is the Michinoku driver, and I'm really happy about that still.
Good move. No, not really a finisher anymore, though.
Not really, but I mean that's the sign of a great finisher. Is it it levels up to the point where people don't use it as a finisher anymor.
Well, yeah, like Jake the Snake, his finisher was just a DDT, right?
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's a super kick party all the time now, isn't there? So best finishers are the ones that are too good to be finishers. But that was then. That was episode 155. If you want to go check that out. Our last podcast, episode 175, was WrestleMania Night 2.
Good.
Decent. Very decent. Better than expected.
Much better than expected.
Didn't really take much, though, to be better than expected, because expectations, I don't think, could be any lower.
They're very good at that, like that expectation set in WWE. They really make sure you think the bar's going to be so low.
It's that road to WrestleMania, isn't it? It's so beautiful.
Oh my God, that is a bumpy road.
But yeah, so obviously, since then, have you guys watched any more WWE, or are you taking a bit of a break from it?
No, not WWE. I've been catching up a little bit in AEW.
Yeah.
But I think I'm 2 weeks behind, actually.
I think I'm a week behind on
I
AEW.
tried to watch a little bit of NXT Stand and Deliver.
Oh yeah, and
Interesting.
And I didn't see too much of it, but the main event, I was like eager to see Bron Breaker versus Dolph, and yeah, I don't know. Don't think I'm sold. I thought Bron Breaker being one of the Steiner's kids, can't remember which one,
Rick
would
Steiner's
be like
child.
awesome, but it just seemed like he might be another Brock, just do the same move on repeat.
Could you imagine if he was Scott Steiner's child? He'd be twice the size.
yeah, huge.
Killing it on the mic.
I haven't seen him wrestle. I don't think I have anyway. But my perception of it is just from that. It's just he looks like a generic make your own wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say I've watched any NXT since the big change, and
No.
I don't know. I just don't have any desire to watch it.
It's
Just
ugly. Like
too
all their
much wrestling in the
graphics
world
and
at
everything.
the
The
moment.
new belt looks awful
Ugly.
as well, like very 90s in
dear.
a bad way.
Mm.
But you guys watched the match that the internet was going crazy about a little
Oh
while
yeah.
ago.
Oh yeah. So that was Wheeler Yuta versus John Moxley
On Rampage, right? Wasn't it on Dynamite?
on
Yeah.
Rampage. In fact,
Well worth
Yuta
it.
at the moment is, oh boy. So he obviously is trying to get into the Blackpool Combat Club, which,
Great name.
let's be honest, is the best faction going in wrestling. Chaired by William Regal with Bryan Danielson and John Moxley. And yeah, Wheeler Yuta had a match with Bryan Danielson on Dynamite, then had a match with John Moxley on Rampage, and that was, as I text you guys at the time, for me, my match of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's still Mox and Danielson. Hang on, what are we calling him now? I still can't get it right. Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still my top, but yeah, the Wheeler Yuta, and it was epic. It started off a bit like, you know, I was thinking, why is everyone going mad about this match? And then like it just strapped a rocket to it and took
man.
off.
I absolutely loved it. I think kind of the thing I love about that match is it's a story. It's a chapter in a book. It's not just like, oh wow, this match came out of nowhere. Like the slow build around Wheeler Yuta has been terrific, and seeing him kind of work his way into more than just like the stooge of best friends is really, really interesting and cool to watch.
Needs some better ring gear though.
He does, but you know,
I think
early
if
days.
he's to, you know, fit and stay with the Blackpool Combat Club, then he needs to.
I mean, the thing is that like William Regal wasn't exactly king of ring gear. Neither was Bryan Danielson.
I don't know.
Oh, you can't
I
beat
like Danielson's.
some classic trunks.
I think it's a little bit harsh on Mr. Yuta, but anyway, it's exciting times. Anyway, this podcast is our top 5 AEW versus WWE Dream Matches, where we are looking at the current roster of AEW, the current roster of WWE, and we are putting together, with fantasy booking, a few matches. We're going to put it together on a card, and we're going to send it off in an email to Mr. McMahon and Mr. Khan. And
Just sees them both in.
we're going to bring the world of wrestling together under one banner, the hardest part of the ring banner. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found this a little bit tricky just because there's quite a lot of WWE guys in AEW. And I was like, I can't pick like a Mox match or a Danielson match, really.
This is interesting. This is the conundrum around AEW versus WWE. Is you don't want it to be WWE versus ex-WWE. You wanna put together some original matches. We want some good booking here. So this was our challenge. Let's have a look at how we got on with it after this.
Hardest part of the ring, and Sami Zayn able to dodge that catastrophe.
Top 5 AEW versus WWE. No pun match this week because I'm not Adam. I care about the sanctity of our podcast. Take that, Adam.
Burn.
We're just going to get straight into it. Is there anything to note before we do this, or it's kind of like we've just looked at the current rosters really, and that's it?
Yeah. We each have 3 picks. We pick 1 pick each that gets locked down. That will give us 3. So then we can debate 2 others. So we've got some listener suggestions or one of our other ones as well.
There we go. We'll put it together in a card at the end of all of this. If we have any kind of special stipulations or anything, please do share that. But
I do have a
do
stipulation.
you?
Oh, do you?
Fantastic.
On one match.
Should we also say who's going to go over?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, good point. Okay, cool. Well, let's get this going. I'm going to go first because I put the running order together, and it means that no one else can steal my pick. And I'm going for the nice, easy one here. The match that I feel has been teased many a time but has never happened. It's going to be the Elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega taking on the New Day, Kofi, Big E and Xavier Woods.
Oh. You've taken out
Good match. Yeah, that's
just
one of mine on mine.
two people that are feature heavily in the rest of my list.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I
Yeah.
can imagine that a lot of those guys, all 6 of them, are going to feature again at some point. But I feel like I've got to fly the flag for this one just because, you know, these are 2 groups who have had a lot of interactions over the internet for the last few years. They've had events at fighting games. They have so many kind of common passions and are just such likable people. Like, if the New Day were to bounce and go to AEW, you know that would be the main event of a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And similarly, if the Elite ever found their way to WWE, they would be putting a program with the New Day and then the Usos and then the New Day and then the Usos. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
like the New Day, you could legitimately make an argument that they're in the conversation for greatest, certainly WWE tag team of all time.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And, you know, the same could be said of the Young Bucks, of this generation of tag teams. Like, they're really, like, not only for their in-ring stuff, but obviously all they've done with AEW and on the indie scene. Like, this, I feel like this is the dream match.
I think this for me
Yeah.
is like, when I think of AEW versus WWE, I don't think of like Roman Reigns versus Hangman or something. I think of like the Elite versus the New Day.
You wouldn't want to do that to Hangman, would you?
Can't say it's made my list, that one. But there we go. That's my first selection. Brett.
Oh, I get to go next. Okay. So my match is a mask match. So whoever loses gets demasked.
Oh, good step.
A
Which-
lucha de apuesta, I think.
Sort of would be cool, but also you'll see why. Because I've got El Generico versus Rey Fenix. Because
Oh, El
I'd
Generico.
love to see that match. Obviously, Rey Fenix goes over. And El Generico finally gets, you know, outed.
I quite like that. I
Like,
quite
in the
like
ring.
that.
as
Brett,
Sami
I think
Zayn.
this is your greatest ever top 5 pick.
That was my first as well. It's like, I know what I want. Love Rey Fenix. Love Sami Zayn. Oh, hang on a minute.
Now hold on. I'm gonna do a little bit of googling here because I want to make sure, have these two ever actually fought each other on the Indies?
Oh.
Is this?
Oh, I reckon Sami Zayn was out of the indie circuit before Phoenix.
Do you think? I don't know. I don't know.
The keyboard's going. He's searching.
I think you're
Google
safe.
answered
I
it.
think you're safe with this. Sammy. I'm certainly not. No. I've got nothing. I'm flabbergasted. You said you made this up 2 minutes before the pod.
That's
Oh, no.
amazing.
I took 10 minutes earlier today.
Oh, okay. You spent those 9 minutes really well. I'm really excited to hear the other two.
So productive.
Yeah, the rest are just real. I just everything on the first go.
Amazing. That's El Generico versus Rey Fenix in a mask versus mask match. John, how'd you top that?
Well, I'm going to top that with sheer striking ability and stiffness with Thunder Rosa versus Asuka.
Ooh, I've got that exact match.
That's exactly on my list as well. That was my number 2 pick. I think we know that one is going to probably be making the list.
That was wise because that was my number 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
It will be so violent, that match. And I'd actually have... who would I have go over? Ooh, no one beats Asuka, right? I'm going to go Asuka.
Oh, you just upset
I think
Sam.
I would have Asuka. No, I think I would have Asuka going over as well.
Yeah.
Just,
I would because
edge of experience there. I love both those wrestlers, and Asuka is a little bit better, I think, than Thunder Rosa, even though I think Thunder Rosa is incredible. So, wow.
Strong start.
That is a strong start. If we are watching
strong.
a pay-per-view and it starts off with the Elite versus the New Day, Sami Zayn versus Rey Fenix, Thunder Rosa versus Asuka, you know you're in for a banger. Let's move on to our second picks, and I've kind of mixed up the order here so that we all get a chance of going first, second, third, and because I'm incompetent, I've actually got John first again. So, John, you get 2 in a row.
Oh, nice. Okay, so although I was moaning earlier about having WWE people in AEW, I'm going to go with Bryan Danielson versus Volta.
Okay. Versus Gunther.
I'm not calling him Gunther.
I'm writing it down as Gunther.
So I just think, my dream match of all time at the moment is Daniel Bryan versus Cardo. I need to see that happen before I die, or before they die, whatever happens first. I just need to see it.
I mean, those two are going to kill each other in the ring, so...
But I think the next one down from that would be Walter versus Bryan. I just think it would just be so slap heavy. Like, they'd both come out with such, chopped meat chests.
Who's going over there?
Walter always goes over.
Is he? I don't know about that booking, John. I don't know about that. I want to see Bryan Danielson kicking Walter's head.
Yeah,
Gunther's head. All these names. Brett, where'd you stand on Bryan Danielson versus Gunther?
Oh, I think that's an amazing match, and it's very, very close to what my third, what my now second was going to be third pick was going to be. So, but I'm going to stick with it.
Very close to one of mine as well. But that's fine.
Because I don't think my other ones have got the enough
just
pizzazz.
Cross that off. Well, Brett, you're up. It's your number 2 choice. What are you going for?
Well, so I was going for Gunther. Walter.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I was going for the other badass from the Blackpool Combat Club.
Oh, that's a good shout as well.
I had John Moxley.
Mox
Just
versus
because,
Gunther.
he's had some real, I know Bryan Danielson, hits hard and everything, but Mox has had some real bloody affairs, and I just thought, I'd like to see Walter get in a real bloody match with someone who really doesn't care.
If anything, I don't want to discredit my pick, but I feel like the styles of Walter versus Mox actually gel slightly better, because obviously one's a brawler, one's more of a technical grappler, old school wrestler, whereas obviously with Danielson versus Walter, they're both kind of similar styles in a way.
That's interesting, yeah. So that's your second pick, so it's Mox versus Gunther.
Yep.
Oh man,
that's good.
And I've actually got Mox going over as well.
Got Mox going over.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Wow. I mean, those are some choices right there. Like I said, I mean, surely Gunther makes his way into the Blackpool Combat Club after this.
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine how amazing
William
that would be?
Regal rocks up, gives him a slap of approval, and he goes, Blackpool Combat Club just takes over the world.
Yeah.
Greatest faction of all time.
Literally.
Exciting. Wow. Okay. Look, I'm not going to be able to top that in sheer striking ability, so I'm going to have to go over to the microphones and work on a promo side of things for my second choice. And I'm bringing the A game. I'm bringing MJF versus Kevin Owens.
Oh, I had that exact same same matchup.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see that.
It just adds up, doesn't it? Can you imagine the build to MJF and Kevin Owens, both of them ripping shots out of each other?
Would it be heel versus heel? Are you going to turn one baby face?
Oh, that is a good question, because I love Kevin Owens as a heel, not a face, but
I feel
I
like
don't
he's
think MJF can play a face.
No.
Well, no, MJF certainly can't play a face, and Kevin Owens absolutely can play a face, and he was lovable in that feud with Roman, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I just want to see the build. I want to see KO and MJF duke it out, and if we get the MJF of recent time, who has been on fire, I think that could be a real banger of a match. I think that would be a real good show opener.
And could you could you have Kevin Owens do his whole submission finisher thing and basically just do every finisher on MJF? Because the crowd would pop for that.
I would say MJF to go over.
Oh, you lost me. You've lost me.
Hold on.
Controversial booking decision.
The first in a series of matches between the two of them. MJF would be going over. He'd get the diamond ring into Kevin Owens' face. He would call him something horrible, maybe insult his weight or something. He's a piece of crap, MJF, and the crowd would be so angry, and I would love it.
So
I'd be raking in those dollars. Right. Those are our first two selections. So far, we have the Elite versus the New Day, El Generico versus Rey Fenix in a mask versus mask match, Thunder Rosa versus Asuka, Bryan Danielson versus Gunther, Mox versus Gunther, and MJF versus Kevin Owens. We're going to have a little bit of an interlude here before our final picks. So we've got these 6 matches on the card. Obviously, Gunther's pulling double duty at the moment.
doing the Bret Hart.
That's a future one. That is past versus present. What would we be naming our fictional pay-per-view or premium event if it's on the WWE Network?
I feel like it's quite striking heavy so far.
Yeah, that's
plus a bit of comedy from El Generico, maybe.
Yeah.
Slap and tickle.
Slap and tickle. Okay, yeah.
I can't top that.
No. Brought nothing.
I brought nothing to this table. No.
There seems to be significantly more slapping than there is tickling. Although I suppose New Day and Elite would have a fair amount of comedy.
Oh, what about happy slaps? Happy slap?
Happy slaps. Have it take place in, I don't know, Enfield or somewhere.
Yeah, some town centre. Near a car park, maybe.
Oh, wow. I tell you what, actually, I would watch Mox versus Gunther in a car park. In one of those post-produced pandemic-style matches.
Yeah, that would be epic.
Oh, incredible. So, there we go. Happy Slap. Our first AEW WWE cross-promoted event.
Did you guys ever get happy slapped back in the day when that was a craze that kids were going around happy slapping people?
So what was, because like I got tangoed, not happy slapped.
Wait, hold on.
What's a tango?
I don't know. Was like tangoed. What's happened?
You know,
there?
you get smacked. I mean, in the school playground, where from the advert, the guy smacked people on either side of their ears. Do you remember that? Like,
where I grew up, happy slapping was quite a violent thing. It was basically a group of youths assaulting one other person, and then it wasn't like a funny thing. It was like a kind of
it was kind of
Aspo level.
They would just slap you in the forehead.
Oh yeah, no, ours was a happy slap. Where I grew up was basically a group of kids beating up one child. Yeah, on the rough streets of Frimley.
In the Shire, fucking hell.
When the Waitrose kicks out, it goes off.
It's dangerous. You got kids coming out with cans of like, I don't know, Curiosity Cola.
We have to look up what happy slapping is now, just to make sure.
I'm quite worried because, like, for me, like, I thought happy slapping was quite a sort of like, definitely generic, kind of dangerous area.
Happy slapping was a fad originating in the United Kingdom around 2005, in which one or more people attacked a victim for the purpose of recording the assault, commonly with a camera phone or smartphone. Though the term usually refers to relatively minor acts of violence, such as hitting or slapping the victim, more serious crimes such as manslaughter of a pensioner and sexual assault have been classified as happy slapping.
Okay, we took this in a different direction.
Wow.
Let's get back to the fun.
I don't know. Yeah, let's go back to our picks. I don't know if we can brand ourselves as Happy Slap anymore.
Well, we need to. Yeah, we've been cancelled already. So
not good.
We need to do names.
3 more matches to add to our card, yet to be named since we've had the brand.
TBC.
Yeah, I was going to say Slap and Tickle probably falls into the early BBC days as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
John's coming out with all the...
Adam, we need you back to name our pay-per-view. Please, can you return? Right, well, TBC is the name of our pay-per-view. Brett, what is your final match for our beautiful pay-per-view event?
Oh, well, I'm going to choose this one. I'll say our long list, after when we've all done. But do you know what? I'm going to go for one that probably might not make it, isn't expected, but I reckon it'd be a pretty great match. One young'un versus another, probably not so young now, but still quite not really hitting any peak in WWE. I'm going for Chad Gable.
Ooh,
yeah,
versus Hook.
Oh, that's so
okay.
interesting. We've got some listener suggestions later, and one of them suggested.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
I have Hook on my list.
I just thought I'd watch the
actually.
hell out of that match. So, yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah, Hook made my list too, but not against the Gable. But that is a tantalising curtain jerker.
I thought Gable's got some like judo throw sort of stuff in his locker, isn't he?
Yeah.
Chad Gable is easily my favourite wrestler in WWE, and he reminds me of a young AJ Styles. I think he can make anyone look good in the ring.
AJ Styles.
In that aspect, yeah.
Really? It always reminds me of Kurt Angle.
Well, yeah.
Wrestling style, I guess, but
wrestling style, Kurt
making
Angle,
someone
but,
look good.
making someone look good
Yeah, that's fair.
easily.
That's fair.
Like, I think Chad Gable has that in spades.
Although
Amazing.
not even AJ can make Omos look good. So,
And I think in that match, obviously, Hook would have to keep his run going.
Yeah. So
He's
Hook goes over.
Still undefeated, right?
He
I've
is,
not
yes. Nope, he's still undefeated. Wow, that's tasty. And that's affected my last pick as well, because I was going to have a squash match of Hook versus Dominic Mysterio, but we're going to pass on that.
what a dream match! Could you
Yeah,
imagine turning up to this dream pay-per-view and just get a 30-second squash match?
Sometimes you've got to put a squash in there. I'm just being realistic, guys. That's fine. I'm going to put another match in there. My match is going to be a lights out Texas death match, I guess, or a hardcore match, or however we want to brand it. In fact, let's put it as a hardcore match in a cage, because I am putting in Darby Allin. Mess
Darby
that up.
Aluminium.
I'm putting in Darby Allin versus Ricochet.
Oh, that was one of my honourable mentions. Yeah.
I think that match would have the potential to take flight and then crash down very painfully for Darby.
Yeah, that'd be a killer. I was talking to my wife about this pod. Like, I need to think of some ideas, and all of her ideas involved Ricochet.
I mean, you can't not put Ricochet is an interesting prospect no matter who he's fighting, because he's basically just a man made up of springs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just completely forgot about Ricochet.
It's very easy to, even though he's the Intercontinental Champion.
Oh yeah,
that's
but
wild, right?
it's easy to forget who the Intercontinental Champion is in WWE because they do not care.
It's so weird. That belt is so prestigious. Like, if I was in WWE, that'd be the belt I'd want the most, especially like the old white belt. I love that old.
Yeah, but it used to lead from like you the Intercontinental was your training grounds, and if you do all right, you go on to but they don't give it any chance to.
If you go back to the old WrestleManias, it's always like the Intercontinental match, which was the best match.
Oh, easily, yeah. But I think maybe kind of like low key, the Intercontinental title matches are still good on WWE. I think perhaps it's more just that the prevalence of the top title and how important they've tried to make it feel has kind of dwarfed every other title that they have significantly. Because like the tag team titles again, like Phil,
and so many titles don't get like wrestled for in their main pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Like, for me, the US title hasn't felt relevant since John Cena had it.
Has it ever really?
That was probably the only time it was relevant.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I think it had a run of it in 2015 when Cena had these open challenges and then kind of feuded with Seth and they did the title for title. That was good, and then kind of just fell off a cliff. But I maybe I don't watch enough WWE to truly appreciate the secondary titles enough.
Yeah, bring back the European one.
Exactly, and the hardcore one.
Oh, definitely bring back the hardcore one.
Just quickly, did you guys see on this week's Raw, actually, they had a whole segment for the 24/7 title?
Is that still a thing?
Right, yeah. Okay, so they had a segment which was essentially a double wedding. I love a wrestling wedding. A double one, though. Where... Okay, I'm just trying to recall this. Reggie was marrying Dana Brooke, whilst R-Truth was officiating.
How is R-Truth still getting a wage
And
check?
Akira Tozawa was also marrying Tamina.
What?
I'm not making this up. This is the plot of Raw. And then as Reggie goes in to kiss his bride, he pins Dana Brooke, takes the title. But then Tamina flattens Reggie and takes the title. But then Akira Tozawa does the worst roll-up ever because he has to crawl underneath Tamina's wedding dress to then do a roll-up, only for Dana Brooke to jump off the top rope, pin him, get the title back, then jump onto R-Truth's back and run away. I don't know. I haven't watched Raw in a very long time. I saw this clip, and I've got to be honest, looked pretty fun. In fact,
at no moment during that sequence of events did R-Truth win the belt.
no, R-Truth I think is
Then
now
what was
kind
the
of,
point?
well, his mentor for the belt. In fact, Raw has got a lot going on at the moment because they had that segment, and then I watched another segment. Which, have you guys seen what's going on with Ezekiel at the moment?
Yeah.
No, so I've seen some stuff on socials.
This is great. I mean,
With
credit
the twin
to
brother.
WWE. Ezekiel is, Elias's younger brother. And Kevin Owens is essentially being gaslit. And it's really funny. I'm very impressed. Anyway, I've completely derailed this for John, your last pick of this pay-per-view.
Okay, my last pick. I picked these two because I feel they operate in similar spaces within their brand. So it's going to be Charlotte versus Britt Baker.
Ooh,
Yes.
solid
that
match.
Feels like that belongs on this card.
Yeah, I feel Charlotte is obviously Charlotte. She always has the belt. And I feel like Britt Baker sort of plays that role in AEW as well. Or,
Yeah, kind of like this stalwart of like kind of their respective divisions.
Plus, Britt Baker puts her body through all sorts of hell when she wrestles. So be a killer.
I had Britt Baker on my honourables mentions, but we'll get to that. So, our 9 matches that we've currently got: The Elite versus The New Day, El Generico versus Rey Fenix in a mask versus mask match, Thunder Rosa versus Asuka, Bryan Danielson versus Gunther, Mox versus Gunther, MJF versus Kevin Owens, Chad Gable versus Hook, Darby Allin versus Ricochet, and Charlotte versus Britt Baker. Britt Baker. Britt should rename herself Brick Baker because that's a much better name. Let's go for some honourable mentions here before we go on to listener submissions. To be honest, a lot of my honourable mentions have already been mentioned in some capacity. So I had Britt Baker versus Bayley.
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be a really good match.
Yep.
Don?
I had Pete Dunne versus Kenny Omega just because I thought it'd be so cool to see someone we've seen live several times versus the best in the world.
Yeah.
I had the New Day in their full complement versus the Best Friends with the OC because I thought that would be a great comedy match.
Oh, that would be.
I had the House of Black versus House of Purple.
Who are the House of Purple?
It's Edge's new faction.
Is that what he's named it? No. No. Come, John.
I think it has,
come
right?
on, John.
Have I picked that up from
Come
someone?
on.
Oh,
Yes.
Purple.
Being silly. I have on my list, and I know this doesn't sound like a good match, but I reckon she would bump like a champion, Nyla Rose versus Sasha Banks.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Sasha
Sasha Banks would be
over.
probably taken out on a stretcher after that match. Yeah, the only other one I had was I wanted to get a Kevin Owens in there, and I was thinking, because he's one of the best, and I thought Kevin versus Kenny.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Would be
you
cool.
can't go wrong with Kevin or Kenny, can you? That's the thing. I like.
So I was like,
cards.
who do I want? Got to get Kenny in there. And Kevin.
That's funny actually, because one of my ones that I wanted to put in originally was Kevin Owens versus Eddie Kingston, but then I looked up and they fought each other in Ring of Honor a couple of years ago. So Going to look that up after this. One other one on my long list was Seth freaking Rollins versus Hangman Adam Page.
Oh yeah, I'd be up for that.
I think that would be a really good match. But yeah, it's difficult to make this list. It's very exclusive.
Well, you think about which ones you want to lock down. Should I go through some listener comments?
Please.
Yeah, go through.
So, Cole Luckhurst says, something involving MJF and The Miz. I think they would be well suited together, even if Punk did call MJF a less famous Miz. He also had Britt Baker versus Becky and Sasha. New Day versus Young Bucks. Hook versus Chad Gable.
Whoa. I can't keep up. I've got to write this down.
That's a smart person.
Where are we at? MJF, Miz, Britt versus Becky versus Sasha. I didn't even consider the idea of a triple threat. That's how bad we are at this.
A New Day, Young Bucks, Hook, Chad Gable, and something involving Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Not sure who with though.
He had both Chad Gable versus Hook and the Elite versus the New Day.
Yep.
Wow. Same pet wavelength. Once we finally formalise kicking Adam out of the pod, space open.
MJ suggests Tony Khan versus Nick Khan on a pole match. I don't know how it'll work. You can book it.
I mean,
Meta.
Can I just say Tony Khan versus Vince McMahon?
Oh.
I'd watch it.
And finally, I think this one is maybe with tongue in cheek a little bit. 3XR suggests Omos versus Marco Stunt would be pretty wild.
I don't know if Marco Stunt is still employed by AEW.
No, I think he got released.
Yeah.
I think I saw something.
Would be good though. I'd watch it. Interesting.
That's proper WWE booking there, isn't it? Old school WWE booking.
There's some fantastic suggestions. Thank you so much for getting in contact. We've got a list. We've got to nail it down. We've got to kick people off this card. So the way this works is we're going to lock in one each, and then we're going to debate the final two matches to make our list. I'm going to go first. And I'm going to lock in John's Thunder Rosa versus Asuka.
Oh,
that is a pick that everyone wants to see. So
I'm surprised you're locking it in. I thought that was going to be a guaranteed of our final two.
Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
I was thinking John should leave that one because we're definitely going to pick it.
This is the tactical thinking about the top fives, isn't it? No, I'm sticking with that. It's such a good match.
Yeah. No,
I think that's our main event, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I'd definitely be down for that.
Brett, what are you locking in?
Obviously, I'm locking in El Generico versus Rey Fenix.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. That means I can lock in Volta versus Bryan Danielson.
Oh. See, I have screwed up here because I was going to say like I'd go for Mox over Walter,
yeah, I would too, but I'm like, no.
But I want... I love it.
This is the difference in our booking. I care about the match quality overall. John wants his own stamp over
John wants the
it.
most matches booked.
John wants to win the top 5.
He wants the job.
I am the territories and you are the corporation.
So, of the remaining two, I think New Day versus the Elite has to be in there. I don't think we could have this pay-per-view without that match.
I think, that's on the poster, isn't it?
I need reminding of what's left.
So, currently we have Mox versus Gunther. Everyone Gunther double duty. MJF versus Kevin Owens. Chad Gable versus Hook. Darby Allin versus Ricochet. Charlotte versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And then there is a series of honourable mentions and listener comments. But anything from there stand out? For me, it's between two of them. It's either Chad Gable versus Hook or MJF versus KO.
I go with Hook versus Gable.
Yeah.
Me too.
Let's push the young talent.
Yeah.
Push young talent. MJF, Kevin Owens, I'm really sorry you guys have made the pre-show. But I'm sure neither guy will be happy with that. But both would do the job anyway.
What are they called? Because obviously it's not called pre-show in AEW. It's called the buy-in. So would it be like the pre-in?
The pre-buy? The buy-pre?
Yeah, buy-pre.
Buy-pre. Buy-pre's pretty good.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work at all. That's fine.
Sounds like a really shit cleaning product.
It does. And so there we go. Our top 5. On the buy-in pre-show, we have MJF versus Kevin Owens. Nobody watched it apart from Brett. And then our main card, we have The Elite versus The New Day. That's the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega taking on, well, Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Kingston. You said Kenny Omega again there. Following that, we have a mask versus mask match. It's El Generico versus Rey Fenix. Can these guys at least be accompanied by Kevin Owens and Penta or something?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's fair enough.
Dream match. We can accompany them with whoever we want.
Exactly.
Following that, we have a stiff match here of Bryan Danielson versus Gunther.
Walter.
Gunther. Before our main, well, not quite our main event, just before that, to warm the crowd up, we then have a wrestling exhibition of Chad Gable taking on Hook. Before finally, your main event for the evening, headlined by the women, Thunder Rosa taking on Asuka.
Oh, that's so good. I can't remember the last time I saw Asuka wrestle. I know she's been injured for ages.
I think she must be injured. But there you go. If you want to watch that, get in contact with Vince McMahon. Get in contact with Tony Khan. Tell them that you want to see Happy Slap take place in an Enfield car park. And it's going to be exciting times. But that is our
epic
dream match, AEW versus WWE card. Oh, that's it. We got through that without Adam.
Don't need him anymore. I think we've gone past the sort of trailing wheels, haven't we? We're now fully formed adults.
We've grown up. Adam. We don't need you, Dad. Next podcast, I'm hoping, is going to be a quiz.
Written half of it so far. It's going well. I think it's gonna piss some people off.
Who do you think it's going to piss off?
I think it will piss off Adam. I think it will piss off most of the listeners.
You've been bigging this up for a while, and if it's going to piss off Adam, I'm assuming that it's going to be wild swings of points that feel completely luck-based.
No comment.
I think you're going to piss me off.
Alan's going to come back and you're going to give him a meltdown.
It's all right. It'll still be blissed out from the holiday. It'll be fine. It'll be the best time to do it.
If anyone can see, Brett has got the biggest smile I've ever seen, because I think... Whereas, like, Adam and me feel nothing but anxiety over John's wild hyperbole, Brett just sees opportunity. Edge of this podcast. Brett, if people want to get in touch with John's maniacal quiz mastering that he hasn't even done yet, or if they have their own top 5 lists of AEW versus WWE, how do they get in contact?
They can send their electronic mails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, or they can find us on Instagram and Twitter. We are @hardestpartpod, and I'm sure there should be a co-fee.
Whoops. Yeah, there probably should be.
/HPOTR. Is that it?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's close enough.
ko-fi.com/HPOTR. You can buy us a virtual coffee. That basically means you can donate towards the show, which is a huge help because, you know, we've got to host the podcast and stuff like that. It turns out there's hosting fees involved. But anyway, pay it if you can afford it. If not, just continue to listen and enjoy us and rate us on, I don't know, Spotify? Instagram,
iTunes,
is that
wherever
iTunes?
You get your podcasts.
Yeah, I'm assuming that these podcasts go out somewhere and they're not just like us screaming into microphones like a bunch of middle-aged men.
It would be great if we realised that actually we've not released one podcast.
This could just
rate us in the void where our podcast goes.
Just scream at your wall. Right.
Yeah, but scream 5 stars.
Whilst we're having an existential crisis about whether our podcasts actually do go out to anyone, just to say thank you for listening. I've been Sam. Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
And thank you, listener, for listening. That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part of that ring. the hardest part